there we go. Welcome, Saber Legion. And I'm just trying to get all the fancy stuff up here. Working with a different mic setup and everything. So I'm just trying to see how this works and trying to fiddle with it. Uh, I haven't gone live in a while. If you don't know who I am, I'm David Laudenslinger. I'm the head of media for Saber Legion. I was the host of Repost and Repost, one of our TS Television shows. Hopefully coming back with that at some point in the future. And I also am going to be talking today about for our new series or returning series from last year called Road to CombatCon. The series in general will go over important information that you need to know if you're attending CombatCon in TSL 6. And I'm more than happy to take your questions that you have about the tournament, even if you're not attending. You know, how do I watch it? Where, what's the media situation going to look like? How can I still participate even though I'm not going to be there? But mainly I'm going to go into kind of your planning tips, your travel planning, and I will also go into the. And if you can hear me, let me know in the chat. I want to make sure it's all working, but I think it is. It looks like it. Just give me a thumbs up or hey, it's all work. It sounds great. I think it does. It sounds good on my end. I see things bouncing. So let me know. But we'll go into travel planning tips. We'll go into the registration. Cool. Thank you, Jameis. I appreciate it. We'll go into other CombatCon tips. I've actually been going to CombatCon since about 2016 or so. Let me think about it. Yes, 2016 was the first CombatCon I went to, and I've been going every year. TSL did not come into CombatCon until 2018. So I'm trying to use all of my, and thank you everybody, Clint, John, Kat, thank you all for telling me that you can hear me okay. I am working with a totally new mixer situation, something that we're going to be utilizing as part of the stream. And you can see the mic on camera that I'm working with here. So let me just adjust this a little bit. Okay. So pretty much that's what's going to be happening. And thank you, Clint. And we'll kind of, if you have questions about, whether they're travel planning, hotel questions, CombatCon questions about classes and things like that, I'm here to answer those questions and make sure that you feel more ready and that also that your question can benefit the community as a whole. So first things I will talk about are the travel things. If you haven't booked travel already, I suggest you strongly do so because it will just get more expensive. And I know that the CombatCon, I'm going to look it up here real quick, but the CombatCon hotel block is booking up. So if you're planning to go and you're going to be staying at the Flamingo where CombatCon takes place, you're going to want to make sure you do that. I'm just trying to look it up right now so I know exactly if they have a cutoff date. June 19th. So you have 9 days to qualify for the reduced rates that are available. You can find that information at combatcon.com. And I'm going to pull that up. I think I have that graphic. Yes. Combatcon.com is where you can go. And you can basically then click on the where to stay tab, and that will take you to the Flamingo information and the room reservation information. Tips for that, staying at the Flamingo, because I have stayed there a few times. I actually now, because I travel with my family, I stay at the Hilton Grand Vacations, which is attached to the Flamingo property. It's just a little short walk, but it's part of the actual Flamingo property. That's more just because I'm traveling with my family, and it's like one of their timeshare properties, so it has like a kitchen and stuff like that. But things to know about the rooms. The basic standard room, I think they call it the Fab, is pretty much a basic room. I mean, you're talking a bed or 2 beds and a bathroom, and I think there's a television. There's not much frills to it. It's not very large. I think they have renovated them recently. Some of their older rooms are, yeah, they're just kind of average. But if you want to pay more, if okay, so Jameis is saying thank you. They have a fridge now. I had a fridge in. It used to be that you could not get a fridge in any room. So what I would say is if you book a room with Flamingo, give them a call, um, ask what room you are going to be staying in, or tell them what type of room you're staying in. Ask about a fridge, microwave. That's a possibility. So I know that I used to, in 2018, I had to pay for an upgraded room to get a fridge, or they were going to charge me like $50 a night or $30 a night, something crazy for like to bring a fridge in. So I think it was like $5 more for the upgraded room, just a slightly larger room, slightly better view kind of thing. And I have Jude here. Hey, Jude, good to see you. Jude is part of the HEMA community up here in NorCal. So we have someone that headed up for HEMA, spectators allowed for the Saber Legion stuff. Absolutely. Spectating is allowed the entire time. There is no, you can only be in here if you are a Saber Legion tournament participant or staff. No, we have chairs set up just the same as the HEMA room. We will have plenty of them set up. We will make sure that they are clear for spectators. There will be 3 rings running most of the time. And when we have those rings running, we will be able to, there will always be something to see, other than when we take our mandatory like lunch breaks and things like that, or maybe when we're between tournaments. So yes, anybody who is you only need the Rider's Pass. So if that person is not, they don't have the tournament pass, because there's like the Rider or Explorer Pass, there's a name they have for it. If they have that, they can attend the tournaments to watch them. Same with the HEMA tournaments, they just need the pass. So they're not required to have like the tournament pass or the Warrior Pass. So if you have just people visiting just to spectate, they can spectate the HEMA tournaments. They can spectate those. It's just the tournament pass gives you the 3 classes, might be 4 now. I don't know exactly, but the classes, and the Warrior Pass gives you the unlimited classes. So, and I'm going to look it up just so it is 4 classes for the tournament. It used to be 3. So you can attend 4 classes with the tournament pass. If you have the Explorer Pass, you have access to you can watch the tournaments, and everything. And that is the more inexpensive one. If you're traveling with family, that's not necessarily going to be attending all the classes or anything. So if they're not attending classes, it's only $45 for an Explorer Pass for the entire weekend, which is a great deal. You can go to the panels, so you can get some great information. You can attend the Time Travelers Ball, watch the tournaments, go to all the demo stuff. So like hold swords and stuff like that. That stuff will all be available to you. So I know that's a long-winded way of getting to that question, but I just wanted to make sure. And you're welcome, Jude. So if you wanted to, going back to the Flamingo Hotel, let me just put this back up here. If you're staying in the hotel, I talked about if you need a fridge or something like that. I would assume on the base level, like I say, they may not have it. You want to verify with the hotel which version of the room is going to have one. Maybe it could also be that they don't have everything renovated, so not every room has it. So it's possible certain, standard rooms are going to just have that. So it's important to ask that. Location-wise, there are better locations than others, and most of that really just has to do with walking. You don't really have a whole lot of choice unless you pay for an upgraded room and you pay for a room in the Flamingo Tower. Then you'll be facing the pool. It's a nice view because you can see the high roller, but what I will say is you have to go down a different set of elevators to get to the convention floor where CombatCon takes place. So if you're in the standard row of rooms that most people will be in, you will not have to worry about, you can just take the elevator, go right down to the 3rd floor. if I'm remembering properly. And then you're right there at CombatCon. So that is the tip I would give about that. And just making sure that if you're booking that hotel, you do so in the next 9 days. That is June 19th that is closing. There is also, if you want to call them and you want to ask those questions and you just want to book directly with them, there is a number on that where to stay on combatcon.com where you can provide a code to use. It'll basically, what that'll do is that'll save you on the resort fee, which gives you access to the internet, and I think local calls, and you get like admission to the fitness center. So otherwise, that'll normally cost you $35. It is only $20 a day when you book through the CombatCon thing. So that's the hotel. I'm going to give some other thoughts here, just things I've heard people talk about. If you are traveling to CombatCon, you are staying somewhere else. So this would be excluding the Hilton Grand Vacations and the Flamingo. If you're staying in another hotel and you need to drive and you need to park in the Flamingo, make sure that you are prepared to drive for a little bit sometimes, depending on the time of day. Either get there early, because if you are there in the afternoon to evening when it starts to get busy in Las Vegas, you might not see a parking spot. I had the experience myself driving in there late at night in 2017. I'm sorry, 2017. I had to have my wife drive around for about 30 minutes before she could find a parking spot. There's just certain spots that are reserved, and then just, all the other spots. So just bear in mind, I think we arrived at like 10 or 11 and we still had to check in. And then when we went to check in, I had to actually still wait to get our room ready. So that's another factor to check in, is that there is time waiting for the check-in. There's a kiosk usually that they have operating, but still they might say, oh, it's not ready yet. And then they'll call you or email you in like an hour, and you can check back and get your room key that way. So just keep that in mind if you're driving there and everything. Clint asked a question. He said, will CombatCon be sponsoring a gear room again this year? As far as I know, they are. I think they're still going to do a weekend pass option, because the nice thing about that is the gear room is close to all of the tournament rooms and the registration desk. It allows you a place to put your gear so you don't have to carry it back to your room, put it back in your car, depending what your situation is. I would highly recommend it. First of all the money goes to a charity. That's cool. And then if you're going to go from there, you can just literally drop your stuff off. What I did is I used the room, put my gear that I didn't need to air out, and then all my other stuff, like I don't know, like the compression shirts and shorts and stuff like that, stuff I actually needed to like clean or spray down, I let that stuff air out in my room. So I had like a smaller bag that I kept with my gear bag, and that allowed me to just kind of carry that little bit, and I didn't have to carry all my weapons, which what do I need them for in my room? And they could just stay in that, and I could check in, check out as I needed to, and then check them in overnight, which was really, really nice. It's really convenient. I highly recommend it. Sign up early so you don't miss anything. So I don't know if they're going to run out of space or not. I don't know if that's ever happened, but if they do, you want to make sure that you are one of the people who has that extra functionality, because after a while, the walking down the hallway to the elevators, you're going to walk all the way from the elevators to the CombatCon tournament rooms a lot. And you're going to make that walk a lot, and walking with gear constantly is a pain. And then if you're walking to your room down another long set of hallways, that's another pain. So just keep that in mind. Try to minimize the amount of effort you're putting in outside of the tournaments. And then that way you're nice and refreshed for everything else. Just going to get some water here quick. So, and Clint, for people that don't know, Clint is one of the people that are going to be fight directing. He is one of our full charge counselors, and he's going to be running one of the tournaments. I don't know which tournament. Clint, if you want to let me know. that's the thing we're doing a little differently this year, is that we're having the full charge counselors kind of take ownership of a specific tournament division. So we don't have to have it all rely on one person who's running the whole show. And we have at least another point of reference when people have issues or problems or those things that are going to come up naturally as a result of. So Clint is doing tag team, and Jameis, another one of our consulars, is check-ins after 4 p.m., or you have to pay an additional $40 before that time. Not really worth it. I mean, if it's really worth your time, I don't know how flexible they are with checking in early, like you're going to drive in the morning. That's not something I'm like I say, I'm staying at the Hilton Grand Vacations. They have a different methodology for that, and it's a little more laid back. But that's that's a thing you want to make sure as well, like that your check-in your arrival time for your hotel or from the plane, from driving in, is going to be after 4. There are going to be times when the check-in is going to be a absolute nightmare. So there are times when it is going to be completely backed up, and there are times when there's going to be 2 people in line. It just ebbs and flows all throughout the night. It really is going to depend when people are arriving, when these planes are arriving, when people are getting into town. So just keep that in mind, the extra time required to check in. So your arrival, you might say, I'm going to arrive right at 4. You might be waiting a half an hour or 45 minutes to check in. It's very possible. It just depends how quickly they're running, because they have the standard line and they have the kiosks. And if the kiosks are all up and running, it definitely speeds things up, but it's hard to say. And hopefully they got a better system, but I assume it's going to be the same thing. So just keep that in mind. And if you need to talk to somebody, you're probably going to be waiting longer. The kiosk kind of just gives you whatever. So if you need to, ask specific questions or request specific things, make sure you do that. One tip I will give is if you have a problem with your room, make sure you tell them immediately. When I arrived late at night in 2017, we had a room that just, it was a non-smoking room and just smelled so much like weed. And I had a pregnant wife and a toddler with me, and it was just not a pleasant scenario. But because it was 11 o'clock, they didn't have any rooms available to move me into. And the people that would normally be doing that weren't necessarily all there. So it was just a big pain, and they didn't have a room because they were at capacity that night. And then they were able to move me the next day into a nicer room, which was cool. But it was just one of those things where you need to be mindful of, if you got a problem, tell them immediately, because that's the only way you're probably going to get another room. So if you arrive at 4 and you got an issue, tell them right away. So they can try to fix it. Hopefully they can, but I just want you to know that's an important thing that I remember dealing with at the Flamingo. I'm talking about these little issues that they have, but mainly they typically do a very decent job running their whole operation. The hotel usually doesn't have too many issues. I don't hear a whole lot of people complaining. There's occasionally, obviously, things, there's guests who are going to be unruly. There's going to be issues like a room smelling like weed because someone smoked in a non-smoking room or something like that. Just keep those things in mind. That if you go and I'm going to also say, you may be on vacation of sorts. You might be, ready to fight and you're stressed about that. Winning, you get more flies with honey than vinegar. Be nice to all of the people that are working. That's going to go to everybody. And I'm just going to put that out for every single person. Hotel staff, any wait staff at restaurants you're at, all the CombatCon staff, those are all volunteers, mind you. All the TSL staff, we're all volunteers. So having patience and understanding that these things are going to happen, that you're not going to, you're not going to, by yelling and screaming and being unreasonable, you're probably not going to get it as easily as you need to. If you can be reasonable, and I say that as someone who used to work in, retail customer service for a long time, and just I know what it's like to be there, to be with the unreasonable person. So I don't do that. I try not to, even when it's upsetting or I'm upset about something. So just a tip, something to keep in mind. Keep it in your back of your mind when a problem arises. Try to seek out what the problem. Let's see what the problem is. Let's figure it out. And that goes for anything. That goes for anything related to your travel. That goes for if you're judging, line judging issues, or you can't make it to your pool right away. Like, ask nicely, see what we can do, be flexible, understand that not every request can be accommodated. Just overall, be a good person. Don't be a jerk. That's just that. There's people are going to be stressed about stuff at these kind of events because there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of moving parts. So we talked about the hotel. I'll talk a little bit about the layout for the hotel. So like I said, the third floor, I'm pretty sure it's the third floor, is the convention floor. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm almost definitely sure it's the convention floor. You can get on the elevator right next to the front desk. There's also some escalators that actually go up to that floor as well. And that will lead you to the floor, and you got to walk all the way around these winding hallways. And there'll be signs that'll lead you to the CombatCon registration. Register early. Be prepared to wait in line to register if you're coming in on Thursday. If you are fighting on, because technically CombatCon opens on Thursday night as the opening ceremony, but we have tournaments that run through the day on Thursday. They allow registration on Thursday morning for people that are registering, that are working, either volunteering or tournaments or whatever. So just keep that in mind, that you want to make sure that you're going to be ready. You have that extra time built in. You're going to be waiting in line. Even like myself, when we go, because all the staff that get registered, I'm still waiting in line, probably 20, 30 minutes. Have everything laid out for it. The more things you have, so you don't have to ask them complicated questions or anything like that, the quicker it can go. I've been in scenarios where the next person up, the person in front of me, takes 10, 15 minutes. I go in, I give them my name, I get the band, and I'm in and out in 45 seconds. So if you have questions, please email the CombatCon staff. Their email, I believe, is info@CombatCon. There it is. Info@combatcon.com. That will lead you to, that will get you, they will answer your question, or at least direct you to the people that can answer your question. So if there is problems about registration, questions, issues, other things like that, get them resolved prior to the event if we can. That way you don't waste the time in the registration desk for yourself and for the people behind you. So, and if, by the way, I'm going to just keep talking here. If people have questions, let me know. I'm more than willing to pivot to talk about something else related to the event, and everything like that. We are going to have episodes with different hosts every week that are going to kind of go into this, but I want to make sure that everybody has the ability to answer questions. And I did say I would sneak in some training and technique questions if you had them. I haven't done a post in a little while, but I can always answer those questions. Obviously, I am not in my garage. It's currently 90 degrees in my garage, so I'm not going to go in there and sweat. It's much easier to sit here and not have to worry about any of that stuff. So, let's see. So we talked about the hotel, the convention floor is third floor. Basically, when you go all the way down the hallway, you will get to the registration desk, and then past the registration desk are the CombatCon tournament rooms. There is the main CombatCon room, or main TSL room, is going to be the closest to the registration desk, and then the far room, all the way down at the end of the hall, is the HEMA tournament room. So that is something to keep in mind. And in between that, I think will be a free sparring room. I don't know if they're going to be using that center room for. I don't think they're using it for the demo hall this year, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So, but that will be kind of the likely scenario of how it's all laid out. Okay, so Kat has a question. Is registration for CombatCon going to be open for the people coming in on Wednesday? So, I believe, and I know Melody, I think Melody is watching and she can answer as well. I believe that is only for people who are staff who need to be registered ahead of time so they can have the tournaments ready and things like that. And so we can do setup. Now, one tip I could give, if you come to help us set up, if we're able to, because we don't always have access to the room, if we're able to set up on Wednesday night, if that's possible, people have been able to register ahead of time who aren't necessarily the specific TSL and CombatCon staff and volunteers. So if you were there for that, it's very possible. I wouldn't guarantee it. I would be, but if you're, and because technically Thursday also is only registration. Thursday is technically only registration for people participating in tournaments on Thursday. So, Thursday, like in the morning and everything. So just keep that in mind. So Melody's saying that, she have to provide a list. So, Kat, if you're coming in on Wednesday and you want to help, reach out to Melody and we can work something out and we can get, maybe we can get you in as one of the people if that's something you're interested in. But I would say the catch to that would be you need to help us set up. And in reality, the setup that we have to do, if we're able to do it, really goes quickly with the more people we have. Last year it went super fast and we didn't have to do a whole lot. Obviously there's still stuff we had to do on Thursday, but the main ring setup and everything, once we had that set up and out of the way, everything went very smoothly. So just keep that in mind. So the answer is you need to be helping out as one of the staff. And the answer is maybe, but don't bet on it. So if not, then the answer is you want to be there as early as possible on Thursday, because if the tournament starts, if you need to be somewhere by 10, let's say on Thursday, don't show up at 9:30 expecting that you're going to be 100% out of the registration line, because everybody else has that idea as well. There's a lot of tournaments happening on Thursday, TSL and HEMA, and those people all need, and then the people supporting those events also need to be there. And then on top of that, you have instructors and things like that. So there's a lot of people that come in on Thursday. They try to run it as quickly as they can. Just keep that in mind. Plan extra buffer time. So, if you want to be on your phone for 30 minutes, like in the morning, right? Everybody just wants to look at their social media and everything. The perfect time is waiting in line at CombatCon, because you got nothing else to do. I mean, obviously talk to people. I would, advise that. But if no one's around, you're the only person, and you don't want to be a social butterfly, give yourself the time, look at your phone or something like that. So, Kat was asking because they're fighting Thursday morning. So, Kat, if you're fighting Thursday morning, double check with, if you can help out. That might be a way to advance that. In reality, though, if people are waiting in the registration line, we can be a little more flexible with some things. And obviously, if the registration is, you can't show up last minute and do it, but there's definitely things we can do to work it out. So, I didn't do this. I meant to do this. Sorry. There we go. There's a fancy little TSL6 graphic in the corner for this. So, any other questions? I'm willing to answer them, but I'm just going to keep talking. So I talked about the tournament rooms, where they're laid out. The room that we're using is the same room we use for TSL 4. Like I say, it's the end room. It's not the center room. Last year, there was a big metal divider, in the middle, in that middle room, and it kind of went right through our rings. It was not an ideal scenario. It worked. It was fine. Nobody got hurt. But this one will just be carpet in the ring, which will be very nice. And we will be setting up pretty much all the time. So, so they're working out. Melody is working that out with Kat in the comments. So Kat's fighting in standard on Thursday and women's on Friday. So that is what's going on. So we have the rooms laid out. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk about is just going to do some very brief planning stuff. So, flight stuff, if you haven't booked already, please book now. If you need to get a rental car, do it now. Nothing is going to get cheaper at this point. We're, a little over a month away. There is nothing you're going to capture that's going to get like a deal at the last minute. So just keep that in mind. And then, yes, and Jameis is saying about the food options. Give me 2 minutes, and I will get right into that. Okay. So So Jameis, I'm gonna put your comment back up in just a second. Basically, your food, your travel options, get that done. You're gonna fly into Las Vegas. There's no other airport to fly into. Tips and tricks for getting from the airport. If you have friends who are driving and they can drive you, that's a good option. If you are using Uber or Lyft, you have to walk to the parking garage and go to the third floor of the parking garage. That's how a lot of airports work to get ride shares. That's one option. Keep in mind you're in Las Vegas. It will probably be 105 degrees in the middle of the day. So just keep that in mind that you need to walk outside and go into a parking garage, which kind of become like an oven. So if you want to shorten that, while it may not be cheaper, it depends. There is a taxi line that you can literally walk out the door and do that. There are probably airport shuttle options as well. I have not done them myself, but I guarantee there are airport shuttle options you can use as well. If you're doing a rental car, that's a whole nother thing, but figure that out. Keep in mind the parking scenario. I don't remember if they were, I think, yeah, if you're staying on property, the parking's free. So, you're covered there. So if you need to have a rental car because you need to be somewhere else, get somewhere, that's an option. But again, if you're traveling from the airport, you definitely, me personally, if I'm an individual and not my like whole family, or maybe just two people, and we just have like a few bags, the cab line is a good option because, like I say, you will walk right out the door. You will get into a cab. Will you pay $10, $15 more? You might, depending on the time, depending on the company. Cabs can be hit or miss. But I personally like that better than having to walk to the parking garage. That's just me because you're in Las Vegas, so it's hot. It's the desert, right? So keep that in mind when you arrive for traveling to the airport. But a lot of times, if you're on some of the chats or something like that, you can talk to someone and say, "Hey, who's driving in? Can someone pick me up?" Sometimes buy them a meal, or something like that, or like a coffee or something. You can work something out because it's not that far to the airport from the hotel. It's not that bad. So if people can do that, if people have the time, there's not other things going on. Ask some people who are driving in locally, people, use the social network that we have in the community. So that's getting to the airport. We talked about the hotel. We can talk about, I talked about the CombatCon floor. Let's talk about food. And then what I will do after food is I will go into the TSL registration. So I'll actually take you through the step-by-step registration. If you're confused about it, if you haven't done it already, here is what it looks like. So Jameis had said, there isn't many cheap and healthy food options nearby. I recommend going to a grocery store off the strip to get healthy snacks. Yes, that is my tip as well. What I do myself, even when I'm not driving, I will take an Uber and I will go to a Target. There are a bunch of options. I mean, it depends what your preference is. I prefer Target. I go to Target that's like a mile off the strip. I think it's on like Maryland Parkway if there's a name for it. And I go there and I get snacks, Cliff bars, RX bars, any special drink you want if you're drinking like Gatorade or something like that. Get everything you need. Anything that you're not gonna travel with, bring with you that's not like totally unique that you can get. Go there, get that stuff. If there's a fridge in your room, get some morning food, yogurt, whatever, whatever you need in the morning. But a lot of times try to work with things that are not refrigerated, because that way you're not tied to the refrigerator. If you need definitely snacks, during the event. If you have snacks and you are allowed like basic like granola bars and like water and stuff like that. They're picky about what food you can bring on the floor for the convention. The hotel is, so just keep that in mind. Like you can bring like a Cliff Bar or something like that, but they don't want you bringing like, I don't know, a full like salad or something like that, or a pizza or none of that stuff. They want mainly because they want you to buy their food. And that actually includes also food bought in the hotel. They specifically do not want you eating outside food, with the exceptions of like granola bars and like a banana or something like that. So um, have that stuff ready to go. Things I use personally, or I have used in the past. Cliff Bars, RX bars. Obviously people have their own preferences. Some people want to use Gatorade. I've used coconut water in the past. I like buying that. I actually use something different now. I actually use electrolyte salt packets that I add to water. So it simplifies my, electrolytes. So water is not an issue. Water is available on the floor of the convention, and they are very good about refilling it usually. And if not, you can usually go to another room and you can get water. Like the HEMA tournament room has water, but we don't because they're refilling it. You can go there and do it, and they're usually very fast about refilling it. So other things about food, bringing your own food, just make sure that you have what you need to, you will forget to eat, you will forget to do these things. But if you can remind yourself to eat and drink and keep yourself hydrated, especially in the desert, especially at a tournament, you want to make sure that you do that. So just make sure that you're focusing on that. So if you can go to a grocery store, go to a Target or whatever store of preference, please do so. Another thing I would recommend, and this is just me personally, I usually will make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich if I have access to a fridge, because and then put it on like some really good like Arnold's bread, like like the stuff that has like extra grains and seeds and stuff like that. It's actually something a dietitian suggested to me a few years back. Works really well as like, I need to get food, I don't have time to get lunch. Now, granted, we have mandatory breaks, so there are options there. So food beyond you're going to a grocery store. So as James said, there's not a lot of cheap and healthy food options. There is your basic options for food there are some snack bar and restaurants in the hotel directly. And then there's the promenade, which is between the Link and the Flamingo. So it's part of the hotel, but it's like between them. And those are kind of your options for restaurants of all different types. There is a basic snack bar in the Flamingo. It's a basic food bar. It's like, you can get like a basic sandwich or like a slice of pizza. It's food. And then there is a little cafeteria inside the casino. And that is like a Johnny Rockets. There's like a little salad place. There's like 3 or 4 restaurants. It's like a food court kind of setup. So you can get food there. Sometimes that can be a little crowded. It just depends. But just keep that in mind as an option for food. And then the Link and the promenade between the Link there's a lot of restaurants, sit-down restaurants. There's some quick places. That food will not be healthy. That food will not be necessarily cheap. I think the cheapest food you can get in the promenade is there's an In-N-Out burger, and you can get that. That is going to be like the cheapest food, I think, because it's literally just burgers and fries. And if you're not familiar with In-N-Out, if you're not from the West Coast, In-N-Out's a good option for just a basic burger. My suggestions, places to try if you're going unhealthy, Gordon Ramsay's fish and chips, I love. It's awesome. Jameis had a good option. Sushi burrito is not bad. That's actually probably the healthiest option on the whole promenade. You know, that it's pretty good. You know, and then inside the Link, which is the hotel right next door, just a short walk, not really that long. Hash House to Go is the breakfast place that a lot of people have probably talked about, where basically you get gigantic plates, and I mean gigantic. They are oversized. It is a uniquely American and Las Vegas kind of thing, because it's just oversized plates. Like you order, I mean, what is it? I forget which one it is. Like their Benedict is like insanely just gigantic. They have like a fried chicken and waffles. That's like, it's a little nuts, but you can get a gigantic meal there and definitely have leftovers if you can throw them in a fridge. You know, you can have another meal that you can squeeze out of that. Not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you're going to probably spend, you know, $35, you know, after tip and stuff like that, for one person. It's very likely at Hash House, but it is a very popular social gathering point, but it is also very good breakfast food. You can have any time of day. So they're open like I don't know if they're open 24/7, but they're open like, you know, like it's Vegas. So they're open probably pretty late. I know we've eaten there late night after everything's happened. So those are some of my places I would recommend to eat. There, Carlos and Charlie's is a Mexican restaurant that's attached to the casino. Uh, Not bad. It's pretty good. It's a good standard place to get, you know, just like a burrito or, you know, a burrito bowl or something like that. You can stay relatively healthy there if you go with like a burrito bowl and stuff like that. It's hard to realize how much I'm freaking talking. Sorry. My throat is like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm doing a lot of talking. But so that is the food options. So let's flip gears here and let's see if I can get this operating properly. I'm gonna just see here. Try to pull this up and then see if I can get this set up. Okay. So I need to share my screen here. So shit. Okay. I will not be able to do that. All right. Just trying to think if I have another way of doing this. All right. If I do this, I killed the stream, so that's the problem. So didn't realize that I didn't give permission for Chrome to do this. So let's see what I can do here. Or maybe I can do it this way. Here's another possibility. So okay, so I'm just trying to do something on my iPad to see if I can share my screen there. I don't know if I can, but we will see. No, I cannot do that. Okay. All right. Let me do this. Another computer, and I can do that this way. So, and I turn that computer off. So, give that a minute. I'm going to talk about other stuff. All right, there we go. And so, other tips and tricks I can talk about. Plan out your classes. I know a lot of people are there to, and Clint said there's a Starbucks, and he talked about the In-N-Out, which, yeah, I mentioned is in the promenade between the Link and the Flamingo. So let's go here. So while I pull this up, let's let's talk about, why am I blanking? Okay, yes, classes. You have the tournament pass. You're there to fight primarily. You get 4 classes if you bought that. If you're the warrior pass, you get unlimited classes. Some of these classes, some of these instructors are world class, and it is important that you. I think it's important for learning your martial arts journey, whatever, even if it's just starting out, is extremely important to experience some of these things. And a lot of these classes, not all of them, but majority of them, are for little to no experience. Some are, we'll say, you should have some experience with this weapon or bring your own weapon or something like that. But there's a lot of classes that don't. So if you want to explore a weapon, like rapier or something like that, or I'm not sure what, I have not honestly looked at the classes because I'm running the media stream and fighting. I'm probably not going to have time to take classes, which is the one thing I miss the most about CombatCon. Is what I used to be able to take, like, I probably took like 10 to 12 classes over the weekend, a few years back. So it's, good night, Clint. Clint is, thank you for contributing. And basically, the classes, make sure you plan for them. Make sure you look at the schedule, see what works around your schedule when your tournament times are, and when you also need a break. Some of those classes can be intense physically. If you have just fought, it may not be the best scenario to do let's just say, a Spanish rapier and dagger course. I say that because I took one of those and it was very physically exhausting, and doing that after a tournament would probably be even worse. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull this up on another computer, and all these other things are popping up. So all right. So sorry, I'm just gonna pull up my link now. I have to actually type it in manually, which is a pain in the butt, but whatever. So if you have a question that I can answer while this riveting part of this show is taking place, please tell me. Geez, that's long. Okay, sorry. JLNE. It's the URL is like a super complex URL, so. Give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Sorry. I'm just gonna see if this works. Okay, that is working. Good. Okay, good. I got it. Great. Okay. Yay. So what's going to happen here is, there we go. Let's put me in the corner here. And I'm just going to remove that graphic real quick. Sorry. All right. Okay. So I will talk about those things, Melody, in just a sec. Let's just get through this part. And as you can see, I'm holding my other computer here. I'm just going to take this off just so people can see the screen. Pull that off. Okay. So, all right. So, if you are fighting in a tournament, you have gotten this emailed to you. You've gotten this posted to ask you to fill out this registration. Why do we fill out an additional registration in addition to what we're what we fill out with CombatCon? Mainly so we know you have the right gear. So we know where you're coming from, so we can properly have your information. So when we say, oh, you're fighting with this weapon, on commentary, we have the ability to talk about that. So you will go to this page here, and you will look at this little welcome to registration. So you can see 2 documents for your CombatCon event pass. So and you only need to fill this out once for all the tournaments that you've already registered for. Obviously, if you sign up for a new tournament, you'll have to fill out the Sign Up Genius part again. But right now, let's go to this Google form. All right. So if you look at this, you can see it has all the information, and I'm just going to put in like a basic like Obi-Wan rules, just really obnoxious, right? Not a real email. So Melody is going to delete this stuff. So you would fill out your name, first name. Yes, I'm going to do Obi-Wan because, and I'm going to say Obi-Wan is we don't have a Stu-Jon charter or a Tatooine charter, but, but we do have the California charter, which includes the dewbacks, and there are dewbacks on Tatooine. So we're going to say California. United States, right, or whatever country you're coming from, state and province, California. I don't know, zip code. I'm just going to give my zip code. It gives out where I live, city I live in, but that's okay. There's 30,000 people next to a large, and I'm going to say just, 1 Tatooine Lane. Okay. What days will you be attending CombatCon? So if you're not getting there till Friday, only check Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're not going to be there Sunday, I'll just check every day. Check all the tournaments you're registered for. So we're just going to say 2. So I'm going to say standard, and we'll say tag team. Okay. Maybe Obi-Wan has hashed it out with their partner. So if you're fighting in tag team only, please list your tag partner. So we're going to say Anakin Skywalker. And then here we talk about the volunteerism is the heart of TSL's community spirit. We talk about how we need people to, if you are fighting in a tournament, we need you to volunteer in some way, whether that's table judging, line judging, other forms of volunteerism. So you can see there are these options here. So for most people, they are either going to be line judging or table judging, running the clock, the timer or the score. I understand that I must complete 1 volunteer credit that I'm registered, and if I no-show, I will be dropped from a tournament at any point. What that means is that we ask that you fill out, you do 1 block of that per tournament you're in. So here we go. Just want to realize that I think there was some audio coming through. Yeah, there might have been an echo. Here we go. So you got to say you agree with that. And then there's pre-registration of the gear. This is going over all of the different things. So if you have a certain which type of saber. If you have another type of saber, you can say other. In this case, I'm going to say Saber Forge because they make the Redeemer, which is Obi-Wan's Episode 3 tournament. So I'm just going to do that. And let's just say there is a second one, and we'll just say that is a 9 moon because it's the one at the top. So, and then if you have a third one as well, if you don't, it's okay. I recommend you want to have multiple, but and I'm just going to select the second one from the top. So here's all the combat requirements. This is all in our rules and regulations, our for events, event guidelines. So when will you complete gear check? So gear check for staff is first thing in the morning on Thursday. There's 50 plus window at 10 a.m. on Thursday, and then there's all these other shifts. So I'll just say Thursday 11 to 1. And then they ask, what kind of fencing mask are you bringing? So we kind of only have two options listed here, just the universal 3-weapon mask or the HEMA mask, pretty much like this one here. That's like the one with the overlay attached to it. There's exceptions to that. Someone might have like the Leon Paul Melmet or the Horsebow mask or something like that. Those are, as long as they don't have exposed metal points, and most of them don't, and that brand usually doesn't. That's the only variation, but select the one. In that case, I would select HEMA mask, but let's just say universal fencing mask. Back and head protection, is it a commercial product like the Spess or the Absolute fencing, or is it something you made like a Kydex attachment? Is it part of your helmet, like as part of the mask, like your rear guard or something like that? So just say, I'm going to say commercial product. What kind of gorget? Keep in mind, gorgets have to be have a certain rigidity. There's a whole section here. If you're not familiar, we require metal gorgets or hard Kydex gorgets that have a very, very a lot of rigidity, and they will not have a blade that slips between the gorget and your neck. So they have to fit properly too. I could go on a rant about that, but I won't. I have actually. If you go back into the TSL group, I think I went live or before TSL 4, told people not to bring weak ass gorgets. So I either said weak ass or janky. I might have said both. So use both of those words. So Obi-Wan's a classy guy, uses that guy, that girl gorget. Have you completed the hold harmless? If not, you will complete one on site. If you have completed one in like the last year, you're good, pretty much, and as long as we have one on file. So chest protection, obviously we require hard chest protection underneath a, whether you have the sternum and everything is properly protected. So like if you have the motocross gear, you got to have a plastron underneath it. But so I'm going to say jacket with hard plastron underneath. But if you have certain lacrosse and hockey gear is acceptable. Obviously, we're not going to go through all this, but I'm just going to select now. So I don't take too long. HEMA gloves, Red Dragon gloves, lacrosse gloves, different types of gloves. Groin protection required for everybody, regardless of gender. And knee protection, we're going to say HEMA. If you're doing custom things, like some of these pictures here, they will need to be approved. You can't just send a picture of it. You can talk in advance to see if something is going to maybe get approval, but it will need inspection on site. So if there's a custom piece, you got the, like Mark here has like a whole kind of Kydex setup that he made, or the leather gear that Jesse Gill has, or this Imperial Guard, setup that Ryan Kappas has. If you're going to use those things, you need to have it checked. So for custom armor, we got to there are certain rules and thickness, there's a whole element of that you can get help with ahead of time, but do it now. If you do it the week before to say, can I get this gear? Because we got to go through like Mark Carrico is the main person that's going to be like approving a lot of these custom things and wrote the book on it, for us. He's not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy. Melody's not going to be happy. No one, and you will not be happy, because we can always default to no. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Just ask the questions now. If there's something custom that you need to do, if there's an issue, if there's a question about a gear or saber, please ask it ahead of time, and that will be important. So I'm going to go through all this stuff. Required to complete the hold harmless. Acknowledging that you're going to be filmed. We will be live streaming as much of the tournament as technologically possible. So you're probably going to be on camera. So let's remember that. Acknowledge that by registering the image and past performances, you can be used in our marketing. If I pull up the graphics here and show you this little thing, you see there's two, if you can see it, there's two little fighters on that TSL 6 thing. That's from a picture from TSL 5. If you ask me at the tournament, I will tell you who those fighters are. But just keep that in mind. You can be used for those purposes. So I have reviewed the rules and the hold harmless, and I'm going to hit submit, and I'm going to prove I'm not a robot. Let's see how many bridges there are. I think that's all the bridges. There we go. All right, so I have completed it, right? So now I'm going to go to the Sign Up Genius. There's a link here, or I could go back to here and then click it here, but I'm going to do it here. So Obi-Wan was fighting in standard and tag team. So now here is the things that we need to do. If you are, an approved staff member or director, there's a specific thing that you fill out for that. But we're going to skip past that because Obi-Wan's not doing any of that. He's showing up. He's just going to put his volunteering time in. So Obi-Wan is fighting in standard and tag team. So there's 2 slots you need to fill out for volunteering and 2 slots for the tournament. So you can see I'm scrolling down into this fighter or volunteer time. I'm going to recommend you do this on a computer because it will be much easier. Yes, go to Disneyland. I was just there around Celebration. Have fun with it. Sorry, can't avoid the ads. So let's just see. So if I want to do standard on Thursday, I cannot, right? Okay, so there is not anything available. No, there is one. So I'm just going to sign up. And Melody, be sure to remove Obi-Wan Kenobi from this and everything. Just want to make sure. So, and maybe Obi-Wan is going to do his volunteering time at the 50 plus as well. And then tag team is going to be on the next day on Friday. So I'm going to just finding it. All right, where is tag team? There it is. Okay, there's tag team, fighter and tag team. Sign up. And then let's just say they're going to judge in the exotics division. And that's the 2 slots, right? So we had 2 slots that needed to be filled for line judging and 2 slots for fighting. So I'm going to go down here, or is it at the top? I forget. So yeah, I mean, I did. Oh, it's right at the bottom. I'm just distracted by all these ads and cookie pop-ups and everything. So submit and sign up. I click that. It asks me another question. It confirms with me, are these the things you are signing up for? Fighter and standard, fighter and tag team, line judges. Oops, I did mess that up. Oopsie. So if you mess it up, what can you do? I can go back here and I can change this. See, I can click back because I meant to do that a different way. So see there, I made a mistake myself. Let's go. So line judging for that is filled. So I will say exotic division on Thursday. Just judging exotics. So, and the Thursday standard. And then I got to fill this out again, but at least I know what I'm doing at this point. So, and we'll say table judge this time. So let's check it now. Cool. Line judging, standard weapon fighter, exotic division, fighter. I mean, keep in mind, this might seem complicated, but this makes the job of our volunteers much easier. So I think it was Obi-Wan rules with a Z at Gmail, not a real email, but or it is, and whatever. Somebody's going to get a sign up genius, but we're going to remove it. Your home charter, we said, was California. And did I spell California? There we go. And we're going to say sign up now. Cool. Signed up, confirmed it. You'll get an email confirming things. And you go from there, and you are all signed up and registered for TSL6. So I'm going to turn this off now. There we go. Let's check the chat. Okay. So that was the sign up. I know that's like a boring thing, but it's just important. There's probably a lot of people watching that have already signed up and done everything. But if you have not, point them to this video and say, I don't know, somewhere 30, 45 seconds in. I'll try to bookmark it on YouTube if I can, but I can't do it on Facebook. I look for the screen sharing, the thing to change, and then they can go through that if they are really confused, if they don't understand how to make that work. So that's something I will just say you want to have set up. Now, Melody said about other things that are happening in addition to the tournaments. So we have the tournaments running Thursday through Sunday. On Sunday, we never had tournaments before. We will have a Unity tournament on Sunday morning, along with what we've called Patchapalooza, which is open sparring, an opportunity to fight all of the people that you didn't get to fight through the tournament. That is the easiest way to get the most amount of fights in with the most amount of people, and end on a happy note and just have some fun free sparring without all of the pressure of the tournament. So both those things will be happening on Sunday. There will be a future road to CombatCon where we're going to talk about Unity. I will be hosting that one with Alan Block, and we will talk about it, kind of talk about the rule set a little bit. If you're not familiar with Unity, Unity is a continuous fighting rule set. It is variation to what we normally do in TSL. So as opposed to stopping and starting in exchanges and going to the first touch, there are rules about quality strikes, and the fight keeps going, and basically breaking up into, going into fight, making the hit, and separating and going in as the fight. It includes things like battle music and other elements. So just keep that in mind, that it is that's something that's going to happen. So on Sunday. So if you're not fighting on Sunday, I would recommend watching the Unity tournament because I think they're great. They're great to watch. So there will be other CombatCon things coming up. I believe there's ones on gear inspection. There's, again, Unity. I think we're going to discuss the open sparring, a couple other things, kind of just to help you get ready. And if you have questions, please ask them. What I'm going to say is if you're attending CombatCon, and I'm going to give you an inside track here because, most of TSL stuff operates on Facebook. But if you don't know, we have a Discord. And the Discord, we have a special CombatCon section all set up. And CombatCon's like a TSL6 section. And that is divided into different categories, different rooms. So we have, for every division. So you can ask your exotic specific question, your light exotics, your heavy exotic question, your basic tournament Q&A, all this kind of stuff. And then there's also a Facebook Messenger chat for kind of the more urgent things like, hey, so-and-so, your pool starts in 5 minutes. Are you going to be here? Hey, everyone, like my car broke down on the way. Can someone give me a ride? I'm on the outskirts of Vegas. Like I say, different scenarios. That's also probably a good option for like social stuff. Like, hey, I'm going out to eat. I'm going to go to the Hash House of Go-Go. Who wants to go? Right. So that's on the Facebook Messenger chat, but the Discord, we're trying to get people onto that. If you have questions about it, I'm going to just have to do this, basically do a sign up video. I'll do just record a video of signing up for it. It's very simple, and it's also another way, in my opinion, to access the TSL community and communicate. And in reality, I think it's a better solution because I'm not constantly bombarded with all of the other things that Facebook bombards me with when I'm trying to look at just TSL stuff. I mean, if I wanted to get to the TSL group, it takes a lot of extra steps, right? And then you're also not bombarded with Facebook Messenger notifications, that constant dinging happening all the time. I can go to the CombatCon or the TSL6 section of our Saber Legion Discord and access it. And like I say, I know people might be cautious about new technology, but the nice thing about Discord is that when you sign up, you only sign up for the servers that you want to go to. So you could just sign up for the Saber Legion one. Don't do anything else, and that's the only thing you use Discord for is TSL, and then you don't have to confuse it, and you have like 20 different servers like I do, and it can be a little unwieldy to try to track that. So I'm just going to mention that as a way of keeping in contact, asking questions. If I will be posting that link to our Facebook group. I'll put an invite link in the description, and that way, so on YouTube you can access it as well. So you can join our Discord. I mean, I'm going to recommend that for anybody, even people that aren't going to TSL 6, because it is another option, especially if you're not in the Facebook bubble and you don't want to miss certain TSL things. We can make sure that you are still plugged into the community. And we're really trying to start to get that going. So now, I think that's everything. I think I've covered everything. Is there something people feel I have missed? Something about CombatCon that just doesn't make sense? Please ask now so I can answer it. If you got it, I know I'm going like an hour and 15 here. I was trying to keep it under an hour, but that happens. If you got a training or a technique question, I'll sneak that in right at the end. Something question about how you're training, tips, tricks, like I'll answer it. But I want it to be geared to you. I don't want to just say do this as you train for. I mean, what I will say for training for TSL 6 is hydration. Be hydrated. Drinking water regularly before the event will help your body stay more hydrated. Think about things like that. I do things like when I'm sparring, I have my heart rate monitor on my watch, and I look at it regularly. Okay, so Tony's asking, how long are the matches? Now, I'm going to have to look it up because it has changed a lot. There are multiple rounds, so typically 2 rounds. They are usually short. I think they're 60 seconds. And and if Melody wants to correct me while I'm looking this up, that's fine. I just don't know for certain. So I need to pull it up. So here we go. Okay, so we are looking at it right now. So I'm just trying to pull it up here. Getting the rules pulled up. Loading. There we go. Rules. There we are. All right, I'm going to pull it up here. So I can't do it on the screen share because like I said, I didn't set that up in advance. I forgot to give it permission to share my screen. So I'm almost here, almost there. Okay. Almost there. Just have to, sorry, it's a specific section and I just got to get to it. Unity rule set. Okay. Time rules. So 2 different time rules. Okay, so we talked standard time was considered. So there were 2 options for rules that I'm seeing. It all basically depends on 2 elements: if battle music will be played or not. That's something I'm working on, trying to get that done. But Now they say it says 2 minutes here. I don't know that we're going 2 minutes. I thought we were going like 90 seconds at max per round. Correct me if I'm wrong, Melody. But I think I mean, we can modify that. It can be either 2 minutes or 90 seconds, but it's going to be 2 rounds. And then basically, if you each win the round, you'll go to a sudden death, which is like first clean contact, first clean exchange. Because the one, and again, stay tuned for the Unity one. But there's an element of that where, if there's a hit and an after blow, that exchange is negated. There's no points exchanged. So, but I believe I think we're talking 90 seconds. I think that's what we planned for, because we have to plan out how many matches we can do. And I'm pretty sure 90. It does say 2 minutes in the rule set. That's standard time. But it might be 2 minutes, because if we're doing single elimination, I mean, you lose a match, you're out. So it's very possible. It is not meant to be easy if you are a person that's going to be going the full amount. There's only 16 people fighting, so 16 people fighting. You're not going to get that many. There's not that many matches you're going to do. So you're going to go, so 16 to 8 to 4 to the finals. So there is not that many. Yeah, we would have a max of 4 matches. So just keep that in mind. So there's like max of 4 matches if you're going to the finals or third place. So it's win or go home. So we don't want it to go too long. We're going to take up 1 ring. So yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. If you have another question, Tony, I will answer it. Yeah. So I think that's everything. Make sure with your training that you're making sure that your body is cooperating, meaning I'm going to say making sure you're stretching, you're doing all these things to avoid injury prior. I know some people want to train until they puke, right? I don't recommend that. I don't think a doctor would recommend that. I don't think a fitness trainer, personal trainer would probably not recommend that. I think there is making sure you're listening to your body. We all have different levels of physical fitness. Do not try to meet somebody else's level of fitness. Do what you can do. And technique I will recommend is make sure that you know how to conserve your energy in a fight. Okay, if you're going to fight in a tournament, you have at least 3 matches that in a pool in a pool based one. So if you're in standard, you're going to get at least 3 matches. Keep that in mind, that those 3 matches, that you can go that length, you can fight those fights. So what things can you do to conserve energy? Are you wasting energy with needless footwork or twirling the saber around? Yes, it looks cool, but you're going to tire yourself out. Those are just different things to keep in mind of how you can conserve your energy over the course of the weekend. We already talked about hydration and all those things. So I am available for questions. If people need to, please ask them. Go to the TSL6 category on our Discord. Go onto the Facebook group. You can use the fighter chat if you're already in that messenger chat, but I would rather keep that chat fairly free of just extraneous questions that we have. If there's training questions, like, ask them on the group. You're going to get, there's not many professionals, there's not many doctors or something like that, other than like Alec Martinez, having that capability. So if you have he might be able to answer some things, but I'm not going to speak for him. But if you want to get some advice, hey, I need advice for like, what's a good like, post fight snack, to regenerate. So just keep that in mind. I could talk about that stuff forever. I could talk about techniques forever, things to do, tournament strategy. I have talked about those in past repost and repost. If you go to I would recommend going to the YouTube. It'll probably be easier to find. You can access those information. So And maybe we can talk about that again if I find the time, now that I've actually gone live for the first time in a while, and I have this new setup, and it works a little bit better, and it's less difficult. I have less technical things to worry about. So just keep that in mind, that you want to make sure you're prepared for it, and I don't want anybody getting an injury or something that keeps them out of the tournament because they overtrained or overworked. Listen to your body. I was doing some fight with rapier, and my wrist started kind of just, feeling like it was overworked. Took a break, felt better. I don't want to hurt myself. I'm not fighting in rapier at CombatCon, but I don't want to be injured at all for for any of the TSL fights. So just keep that in mind. I train. Please train. Please make sure you can physically do this. That you have the cardio to compete. That you have the cardio and the leg muscles trained enough, at least, to do all the walking that you're going to do in addition to the fighting, because you will put a lot of steps in. I just did Celebration, and I was putting in 25, 30,000 steps a day, because it was that plus walking and going to Disneyland and things like that. You're going to do a lot of steps. So make sure that you're comfortable, you have comfortable shoes, all those little extraneous things. Maybe one thing we'll do is we'll have one of these Road to CombatCons. We can talk about just tips and tournament advice. How to approach a tournament and stuff like that. Like I said, I have talked about that in the past, but we can talk about it with your questions. So maybe we can gear it towards you. I don't see any other questions or anything like that. So you're leaving that stuff on the table. So I won't talk any technique things or anything like that. So, but hopefully this gave you a lot of good information. There will be other ones coming up in the future, and I don't have the schedule on me, but there's one coming next week, and I think that one is Mark. I could be wrong. I think that one is Mark talking about gear inspection and how to do that. So we want to make sure that you're ready for gear inspection. You know what to expect. There is no surprises with your custom armor, your custom saber that you built yourself. That there's no surprise. Everybody can come in, get their stuff approved because they have followed all the regulations, and then they can participate. I don't want anyone showing up and they can't fight. That's probably one of the worst feelings. I haven't experienced it myself, but I've seen the look on people's face, and it's like, well, you don't have the gear, and then we don't have the gear to loan you. We can't share gear. We can't have someone taking off their mask and giving it to you. So be ready. Make sure all your gear is ready to go. Nothing's broken. If you got to replace something, you got time to order stuff right now for the some of the more basic stuff. Obviously, the custom stuff, you might not have time, but make sure you got all that stuff ready to go. You got plenty of patches. If you don't have patches, and you can still put in an order with Rebel Patch or another patch company probably, and get it within time. Just keep in mind that stuff. Time is right now. Do it right now. Get your hotel booked. Make sure that stuff is handled, because you're going to be stressed enough, and you don't want to have to worry about other things that you could have planned for, that you could have done, that you could have figured out, and then you didn't when you had the time. Take the time to do it. That's what I do. Try to plan as much as possible, and then allow for that plan to change, because it will change. Things will go wrong. You will never be able to do it. But I've planned as much as I can for every contingency to do what I need to do, and then let it change, and be open to that change. But I've at least planned it out, so there is nothing going to come up that's going to completely surprise me and ruin my weekend, or anything like that. So just prior planning. Do it all now, and ask the questions. There is no stupid question. The only stupid question would be I can't think of, actually, there's not really a stupid question, because where do I sign up? We'll give you that information. how do I do this? How do I get to the Discord? How do I, how do I fly there? Right. I think the only stupid question is like, you know, can I bring this armor that clearly is not designed for our sport? That's the only things I would say. Like, can I bring this saber that I clearly made out of a maglite, and put it together with duct tape, which is sort of what has happened at past tournaments a couple times. So those questions, feel free to ask them, but know that, if it's held together by duct tape, it's not going to pass muster. So I'll leave it with everyone. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, there's going to be other stuff. Do I have to bring, see there, Seth asked, do I have to bring a lightsaber? If you're going to participate, you have to bring a lightsaber. If you are signed up for a tournament, yes. But no, if you're a spectator, there is no need to bring a lightsaber. And we don't have lightsabers. We have LED sabers, but that's just semantics. But yes, you do not have to. You do not have to ask. You do not have to bring a lightsaber if you're spectating. So, I mean, it's cool if you want to. You want to hold it up in support for your favorite fighter. That's a fun element, celebration. Everybody puts their sabers in the air when they get excited about something. So, only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Correct. So ask them. Ask them on our Facebook page, our Discord. In all of those options, please ask them early. Get the questions handled. If we don't have the direct answer right away, or somebody doesn't have that answer, we can try to figure out what the answer is. If there's a specific CombatCon question or something like that, info@combatcon.com. If there's a question about like, hey, I'm trying to book through the hotel and, it's June 12th and it's still within the time and it's not working, shoot them an email quick. Those are options. So utilize the resources that you have to have a great event. So thank you all for joining me on this Friday evening. I know it's late on the East Coast. It's only 7:00 for me, but, thank you for joining me. And I hope that you have a great TSL 6. Hope your planning goes great. Your training goes great. And I hope to see you all there. If I'm not going to see you there, I hope to see you on the stream, commenting and everything, so we can have a wonderful stream and we can hear the support that our fighters have, whether it be from home or everything. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. And have a good night.